with none other than Mr. Jeff Bounds from Cardone Automotive Resources. What's up, Jeff? How you doing, man?
Hey, what's going on, brother? Good to see you again. Good to be back on the show. Love what you're doing out there, man. I think you definitely, without a doubt, right now have one of the best podcasts, without a doubt, in the automotive industry. I know you got some great people in your audience there. Happy to be here.
Dude, thank you so much for doing this deal. We had talked about, putting something together a couple of weeks ago, and I was really, really excited because I think now more than ever, we need to be putting out as much content as we can to help dealers kind of navigate during these times. It's weird right now because I'm having a lot of conversations with the decision makers, and for the most part, I hear a lot of talk about how it's been, some dealers have had really great months, record months, especially on the growth side of things. But the reality is if you look at the SAR numbers, April, we were down to, I think it was 8 million units. We're slowly creeping back up, but we're nowhere near where we were a few months ago. And now there's inventory shortages, and everything else going on with just adapting to the new normal. And so having some sort of a road, dude, I really, really appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely, man. I mean, I think one of the biggest things right now is, sometimes in life you got to slow down to speed up. And, everything that we've been dealing with now since this whole thing really started, end of February, beginning of March, whatever story you want to believe, our whole world got turned upside down. And now, we're in July, and, a lot of dealers have made the decision early in the process that they were just going to embrace the storm, figure out, adapt, pivot, and do whatever it takes to move forward. And those are the ones right now that are out there, seeing some pretty substantial gains. There's some stores that I've talked to that are actually pretty close where they were before, year over year, maybe not as much so in gross, but the dealers that still do have inventory, I think all that pent up demand through the period that, a lot of states were closed down and stuff, we're starting to feel the benefit of that now in some parts of the country. But yeah, to your point, I mean, not having inventory shortage is something that we've dealt with many times in the history of the car business. And, it's kind of shouldn't be a surprise to anybody because most of the factories, were shut down for quite some time. So we knew this was coming. But I think, obviously moving into the end of the third quarter, beginning of the fourth quarter, inventory is going to come back. And the question is, are the dealerships prepared to handle what we're going to be faced with here in the new normal? Because, just from my viewpoint and what I see, talking to a ton of different people and just having, a little bit more of, I guess, a wide exposure of what's going on in the country right now, on-site events, conventions, everything like that has been put on hold. People are still really leery. Do they want to go out? Do they not want to go out to different establishments? You have the companies like Amazon that's kind of pulled the future forward and preconditioned people. So, right now, I mean, the dealers just have to understand that you got to be able to get great at all the communication channels. And the number one is going to start off on the phone.
Yeah, dude, I like that. And let's talk about that for a second because, I'm obviously a big advocate of, digital advertising, right? And I think that in a world where we have a lot of alternatives when it comes to marketing and connecting with buyers, I think we've kind of gotten a little bit convoluted, if you will, in the automotive industry. There's just so much stuff you could be doing, so much widgets, so much alternatives to connect with buyers that we forget, man. Something as simple as the phone, having that phone interaction, having those phone skills really goes a long way, because when you think about it, that's the first opportunity the customer really has to gauge the type of experience that they're going to have in your dealership, right? And if you have a conversation with customers, or if you're talking to customers on the phone and you're not prepared, then what you're doing is you're losing that business before it even sets foot in your dealership. And I think that's one of the areas in just at the dealership in general where we fall short a lot. What is your thought on that, man?
Yeah, well, it always goes back full circle to, people focus on what's 3 feet in front of them. And, Like I always talk about, in the past 3 or 4 years, business has been unbelievable. The economy has been at, unprecedented levels. Everybody's been doing well. People have been spending money. People have been pouring into dealerships in droves. People have been, calling on the phone, sending internet leads. So, in the past, you could operate a dealership and maybe not have the best engagement with your staff around phones and still be outperforming your objective just because the demand was unbelievable. When the economy's great, people are going to go out and spend money. And it's like, now that we've completely turned things upside down, people are going back into the market, but there's just a lot of uncertainty. So, in a lot of areas where people don't feel comfortable maybe going into a dealership, the first thing they're going to do is they're going to pick up their phone and they're going to call and try to find out information. And when they call the dealership, it's really gone, future forward here for us, because now the phone call has become a, again, top channel. So you're calling to the dealership, hey, are you guys open right now? Are you guys COVID-19, are all the CDC measures being met? It's all this other uncertainty that's out there outside of the car deal. Mm-hmm. So when people call in, you have to be prepared to know how to handle that first and foremost. And then number two, what happened when everybody got shut down is the digital retailing model really got pushed ahead. And now consumers in some markets found that to be a seamless process to be able to go end to end on the computer, buy a car, and then have it flatbedded to their house. So now in the industry, before we didn't have that high of expectations on us inside of automotive to be giving the best experience, because the reality is it's been painful in the history of the business trying to get information. But now the danger in retail automotive is becoming extinct, because if you have the choice between going online and buying a car, getting all the information, going end to end, versus trying to pry it out of somebody over the phone, you're going to take the path of least resistance. So now more than ever, dealerships are being held at a much higher level with how they do engage with the customer. It revolves around customer experience. It revolves around providing the necessary information. It provides, skill sets in doing virtual walkarounds, doing Zoom meetings in some cases, doing virtual test drives, really going outside of the box. And frankly, that's just a skill set that I would say the majority of people in the automotive do not have. So it's a changing of the guard.
Yeah, you know what? I agree with you, and I like your point about the kind of where the consumer is right now, and I think that the tolerance is really low from customers at this point, right? They're just frustrated because of everything going on, and there's just no room for error, so to speak, right? They're expecting that experience. They have some money that they want to spend, and they're not going to just give it to any dealership. You really have to earn that business now more than ever. And so, what do you think why do you think rather we fall short, in that regard at the dealership? Do you think it's lack of training, or do you think that we just we feel like maybe the phone part of the business isn't as important as it once was, like pre-digital solutions and things like that?
Yeah, I think there's a number of reasons. I think first and foremost is obviously with this new generation out there, everything has been driven around digital communication, text, chat, social media. And, the phone kind of went on the back burner because let's just face it, I don't even know if you have anybody in your family, you experience this. You call them on the phone, they don't answer. You send them a text, they respond right back. So people got used to the texting, the social media, the chat and everything else. And they kind of lost the personal skills to be able to have a conversation and to know what to say and to know what to do and to understand. I mean, look, it's a conversational type of situation versus transactional. So it's kind of like people are, we went so far ahead in this society with our communication, it kind of like put the phone on the back burner. And in dealerships, I mean, you were lucky to even get a conversation with somebody. And now because people are trying to get information, they are going to pick up the phone and call, and the people aren't ready for it. So yes, training is an issue. I mean, you don't become great overnight. I mean, it's through practice and role play and like knowing what to do right and doing it over and over and over again until it becomes second nature. And no one's been doing that inside of, retail automotive. I mean, retail automotive has been so, against training their people because they just assumed that they were going to get enough deals, and they just assumed that they were doing okay as is. And they knew they were losing money hand over fist. But now it's changed because this is a whole new skill set that they have to train to.
Yeah, man. And the other thing that comes to mind too is that I think customers are more likely to engage with you on the phone right now because of the situation, right? Maybe they're a little hesitant to just go into the dealership, and they're trying to just kind of gauge the operation, right? They're trying to get information. Believe it or not, man, still now in July, I still talk to decision makers that tell me like, man, one of the things that we're struggling is people don't even think that we're open. You know what I mean? So it's crazy that's happening, number one. And number two, when you really think about just kind of where the consumer's mindset is at and how critically important it is for us to be able to have, be able to engage with that customer where they are, you know what I mean? Because again, I feel like that level of tolerance is just really, really low. So
yeah, I'd love to handle that. I'd love to handle that too, because, we're in 2020, right? I mean, if you're going to sit around and expect people to come to you, you're going to be waiting around for a while. And unfortunately, the car business has always been a very reactive business and not a proactive business. And it's the responsibility of the people inside of the dealership, including the general manager, dealer principal. They need to be on this thing. They need to be on social, letting people know what's going on. What's the current situation? Are you open? Are you not open? Are you doing appointment only? Will you do home delivery? Will you do, virtual test drives, virtual walkarounds? Are they actually out there to help the community? And the dealers that have done that, and frankly, there's been some that have done a really great job, are killing it, because the people that do things that others refuse to do are the ones that grab market share and the ones that'll come out on top through this whole situation. Because I can promise you, there are dealers out there today that are killing people in the marketplace because they have adopted this new strategy. They're not telling any of their people about it in their 20 groups. They're just out there killing people and nobody knows what's happening.
Yeah, you know what? You bring up a good point too about just about social media and kind of like the utilization of it. I think to your point, I think we're missing the boat there to tell that story. And I think now more than ever, we need to kind of navigate towards those platforms as well. Okay, so what about on the sales side? Let's just talk specifically about selling cars, because here's what's happening, right? We have shortage of inventory that's happening across the board. We have the pandemic that's happening across the board, which means the opportunities for each dealership is less. That's just the bottom line, right? That doesn't matter brand or anything, you know what I mean? Like there's just less opportunities for us all. And so one of the ways for us to differentiate ourselves, one of the ways for us to kind of get an advantage, a competitive advantage, is to kind of handle, just handle the customers that are willing to interact with our dealership better. So when we talk about the phone and phone skills for the sales side of things, how does that play a role? What are you guys seeing? What do you recommend?
Yeah. Well, first of all, when it comes to a shortage of inventory, you have to look at the glass half full and the glass half empty. This is the time right now where the pros dominate and the amateurs starve. Because before, in the car business, there was a lot of order takers out there. There weren't real salespeople. So right now, because again, there is a shortage of inventory, consumers have to pick up the phone and call to say, hey, do you have this in stock? Do you have this particular model? Before, they would go on a dealer's website, they would already know what they had before they called, and then they'd start sending around these blind emails to trying to get the best price. Now the customer has to do more manual labor to actually find out if it's even available. So therefore, the salesperson, when they get that call, it all starts with the greeting, just like you talked about in the beginning of our session today. Everything starts at hello. Consumers right now have an attention span that's less than that of a goldfish. I mean, it's ridiculous. It's an instantaneous gratification society. So with that being the case, if you can't get a person some information right out of the jump, and you don't sound like you know what you're talking about, and you don't create the certainty in that call, they're going to move down the road, because people today have no threshold for uncertainty and for people that are not going to give them a great experience. So that's why, again, it's so important. Like the call comes in, hey, thank you for calling Cardone Motors. Hey, do you still have this F-150 in stock in the limited package? You know what? I'd be more than happy to check that for you. Let me get your name and number. As you well know, right now, inventory is a little tight. I need to go actually verify and make sure that I have that vehicle on the lot, or I have the capability to see if it's going to be coming in. Sound fair enough? Yeah, great. Get their number, go do what you need to do, and call them back. There's a lot of people out there that'll tell you don't do that. Don't get the number and call it back. You got to give them the information on the line. But if you got them on the line, and maybe that you don't have that car and you have the opportunity to get it, or maybe it's inbound, or maybe you could switch them, at least you're grabbing data from the customer. Because what's going to happen? Most amateur salespeople are going to be like, oh yeah, I don't have it in stock. Okay, click, thanks. They're done. Or, I called a dealer this is crazy, man, but this is reality. I called a dealer the other day. I was mystery shopping a dealer, just for the hell of it, when the new, 2021 F-150 was just released. I think Auto News did like a special unveiling of it or whatever, virtually, which was wild, because usually those things are, it's a pretty big event for all the manufacturers. And so I hit the store up like 3 days later and said, hey man, I just saw that new 2021 F-150 that's coming out. When are you guys going to be getting these? And they're like, you mean the 2020? I'm like, no, I mean the 2021, the one with the new body style. They had that passenger seat that folds back into a bed, this, that, and everything else. I'm not sure. Oh, okay, no problem. I said, so let me ask you this question. So obviously, you guys must be doing some really great deals right now on the current models you have in stock, right? Yeah, we're doing some pretty good deals. Great. Do you have a limited in stock? Let me see. And then it was like radio silence. And then I'm like, oh yeah, I'm just trying to, when you said limited, you mean a Lariat? No, I mean limited. Oh, okay. No, I have a Lariat. It's pretty much the same thing as a limited. I'm thinking like, this is the reality of what people have to deal with every single day. So A, that person shouldn't have been on the phone until they were trained. And B, they just lost the certainty of the customer like that, because we well know that right now, consumers, for the most part, know more about these vehicles than the salespeople. So it's just absolute insanity. But at the end of the day, you got to help somebody solve a problem. You have to get them information. You have to become a salesperson. Hey, do you have the limited in stock? You know what? Let me go ahead and check for you, see, blah, 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 blah. I'm going to check my inventory to make sure I do have it, just to make sure that maybe you don't have one coming in, or maybe you have a fresh one, you haven't PDI yet. Let me get your name and number. Okay, great. Get the name and number. Call them back up. Hey, I got great news for you. I don't have a limited in stock today, but I have like 3 platinums that are unbelievable. And the deals that we have on these cars right now, I can't even believe how great they are. When can you come in and take a look at them? You know what, Jeff? I don't want to come in. Hey, no problem. We do like, a home drop off. We can come to your house today and show you the vehicle. What makes the best sense for you this afternoon or this evening? Boom, done. You got a customer. But nobody does that. It's crazy.
Yeah, dude, I really, really like that. And I wanna kind of expand on that a little bit, because one of the biggest things, or the biggest challenges when it comes to the phone, just in conversations that I've had with dealers, just throughout the years consulting with them, is how you close that gap, man, between a caller and a customer. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Because you don't want to really sell the car over the phone, but you have to be a salesperson, and in order to do that, you have to have salesmanship, right? You have to have skills. It's not just, it's not like you're just talking to somebody on the phone. You're in a place of business. You're talking to a customer. This is somebody that's potentially able to purchase a vehicle that you're able to sell them. But it's like we don't understand that, or we can't see how to close that gap. And I think some of that has to do with what you talked about earlier with training. But in your guys' experience, what's kind of like the roadmap to get there?
Yeah. Well, first of all, people overly complicate the situation. I mean, it's no different than you and I having a conversation right now. It's just to answer what you said about a client to a customer. Love that question, by the way. You need to earn the right to get somebody, from a, prospect to a client to a customer, right? So it's like you got to earn the right by giving them the information, building the credibility, getting them to give back, the law of reciprocity, right? They're going to call you, hey, thank you for calling Cardone Motors. My name is Jeff. What can I get you information on? They're going to, tell you everything that you want. So if you want to be savvy in today's times, they call you up. Excellent. We have that vehicle on the lot right now. Is this something you'd like to come in and see this afternoon? Or would this be something you'd like me to bring to your house for you to take a look at it? Jeff, I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to get in when we got all this stuff going. Hey, great, no problem. Let me get your cell number real quick. I'm just going to do a quick virtual walk around for you on the car. So I'm doing two different things here. I'm giving information, the law of reciprocity, right? Let me get your cell number so I can actually get you a virtual walk around on the car. I know you told me earlier you wanted the best price. I want you to know that one of the things about this dealership here is we never lose business over price. The one thing that's extremely important to me is to make sure we have the right vehicle for you. So let me get your cell number real quick. Let me just go do a quick virtual walk around for you, introduce myself, and get that over to you. Boom. 9 times out of 10, they're going to give you the cell number. What did you just do there? You got a cell number to continue a follow-up chain, right? And I can tell you right now, calling, texting at the same time, you have to be doing that. But if you can get into a text cadence with a client, you get so much farther ahead. But again, the one thing, and I was just talking to one of my clients this morning that's a exotic dealer in Portland, Oregon. They do Porsches, Ferraris, Land Rovers, Aston Martins, all that kind of stuff. And I gave them a tactic. I said, look, you got people that are buying 60, 70, 80, 90, $100,000 cars from you, 9 times out of 10, sight unseen, other than what they've seen on the internet. Had him leverage the tactic. And now he's going to be using that with his customers because, look, no one else will do that. And again, it's taking away the uncertainty in the customer's mind. And not only that, is it's making you stand out as a salesperson because no one else is going to offer that information. So you're selling yourself, you're selling the dealership, and then you're selling the vehicle. And when all those tie together, price is important, but people want to make a decision, do business with someone where they have the comfort. So there's 3 things right now that I advise dealers to do in this environment, and really even before COVID. These are like the 3 tips to success on the phone. Number 1, you have to plan out what your course of attack is going to be on a phone call. Whether it's an incoming call or an outgoing call, you need to have a plan. What does that mean? Number 2, you have to have a script. You need to know what to say and what to do. You don't want to have your salespeople trying to make it up on the fly. They need to have a consistent message that they're going to have to their customer. Now, granted, they don't want to sound robotic, but you want to make sure they're hitting all the touch points in that conversation. You want to make sure that they're doing one thing that most people don't. You want to make sure that they're listening. Most people hear, but they don't listen. And the reason why is when the customer's talking, believe it or not, if they don't interrupt them, which most of them do, they don't hear them because the whole time that they're talking, they're thinking about what they're going to say. So when you have a script and you have a pad of paper behind you or your phone or whatever you're going to use to take the notes or iPad, you're jotting down what the customer saying so you can acknowledge back to them. If I heard you correctly, Herb, you said you wanted convertible, you wanted the sport package, and you wanted the 21-inch wheels. Is that correct? Absolutely. Boom. Then the customer is right away that you're listening to them, right? You're only going to know that if you're going to hit all the touch points every single time with the script, you're writing down what you're saying, and then you're repeating it back to them. Now, here's the rub. The third thing that you absolutely, without a doubt, it's a non-negotiable that you have to do to get to this level is you have to role play every single day. You're role-playing the script. You're role-playing the objections. You have to get yourself where you become a master, where you become a true salesperson, and you can leverage what I call the power of prediction, meaning that you know what you're going to interact with every single time on a phone call, and you're prepared to handle those when they come out. So what we've been putting together here, and it's been one of the initiatives that's been really big to me, because phone to me is everything. I've made so much money in my career because I became great on the phone. It helped me really dominate inside of the car business. It helped me outside of the car business and multiple other verticals to be able to be a top performer. Because again, I was telling people the other day, I was doing a big training deal for a large furniture company. biggest one in the United States, trained over 300 people. And I told him, I said, look, the one thing right now that you can tell yourself is this: if I become great on the phone, I become marketable in the future, because down the road, that is going to be the essential to keeping a business to thrive, is to having your people know what to say and know what to do on the phone. So in the car business, the problem is, if you're watching this today and you've been in the car business for, a couple weeks, couple months, maybe even a couple years, and you feel stuck stinks. You got to go to work every single day, probably spend 8, 10, 12 hours in that dealership, more time there than you typically do with your family. If you're not selling cars, you're not getting paid. If you are selling cars and you're getting minis, you become frustrated. And every single morning you wake up and you ask yourself the question, man, do I really want to be doing this? Do I want to go back in? So what does somebody do? They go to another dealership. Well, look, the grass is only greener where you water it, right? And the reason you're not being successful is there's two different reasons. Number one, you don't have the knowledge. And number two, you don't have the practical experience. So what I've developed and what I convinced Grant to do, can't believe he actually agreed to do this, but we're doing it anyway. We are releasing the actual playbook to what Grant has trained everyone here at Cardone Enterprises. I mean, we're a $150 million company. Grant has raised personally over $1.8 billion in real estate assets, $1.8 billion, $150 million business by leveraging the phone. So what we have in this is a roadmap. These are sales scripts and role plays, literally every step of the sale, from the greet to the fact find, to the selection demonstration, to the write-up, to the close. So you can literally role play these. If you get stuck anywhere in the process, there's rebuttals, there's ways to overcome objections, there's role play that you don't even have to recreate. So if you're a salesperson right now in a dealership, I don't even care if you're a salesperson in anything, you need to get into this material. So what we're going to be doing is we're going to have a live webinar. We were going to do this here in our office, but because everything that's crazy going on right now, we're just like, we want to make sure we do it. So we're doing it on a webinar. I've had people reach out to me in other countries, and people are super excited about this. August 15th, if you go to 10xphonesales.com, it's a $49 webinar. It's going to be a couple hours. We're going to talk about everything from phone skills, communication channels, and how you're able to dominate in the new normal. We're also going to be talking about an offer. And look, everybody out there that's in the car business, everybody out there that wants to get better and your dealership won't, make the investment in it. I can tell you one thing right now. The best thing that I ever did in my career is when I decided to make the investment in myself. And if the dealer won't do it, you need to. You need to really think about what you do in life and what you do with your money, and if it's going to get you closer to goals. Now, the crazy thing is, most of the people out there, if I was going to ask you, what are your goals? You probably aren't going to know. And then if I asked you, are you writing them down? You probably look at me like I'm crazy. So you got to know where you are today and where you want to go. This is going to be the program that's going to get you there. So you come on the call, $49. We're going to spend a couple hours with you, give you some great insight. And then when you jump on that call, I'm going to give you a little sneak peek here. Haven't even launched this out to anybody else. On the call, there's going to be an opportunity to get this program here. So for 500 pages of everything that you need to become a beast on the phone. And we have people in this organization, I mean, they're just killing it. I grew up on this information. This is what, I trained on when I started in the car business. It really helped me to get from where I was to where I am today. We're going to get you this manual. And then look, here's the reality. And this is the crazy thing about training and just learning in general. Throughout our whole lives, we have had facilitated learning. We went to high school. We were told what to study, what syllabus to look at, what tests, what's the agenda. You go to college, it's the same thing. So when you get out, you expect to have a direction on where to go and what to do. But you know what people do? Hey, go study this book. Hey, go study these video segments. Hey, go watch this. People don't have the conviction to be able to do that on their own. So what we're going to do is we're going to give you 6 coaching calls, 6, where we're going to spend time with you on every aspect of the sales process. And we're going to have one at the end to kind of recap the whole thing. So we're going to give you a 500-page manual with everything you need. We're going to tell you how to use it. We're going to role play with you, with our team here. So we're going to work with you hand on hand. We're going to take a look at your scripts, find out what's working, what's not, where you're stuck, how to fix it. And you're going to get all of that for $1,997. So my question is to everybody out there right now, if you had the opportunity to invest less than $2,000 in a product that's guaranteed to get you where you are now to where you want to be, you would be a fool not to do it. Because I can tell you there's some people out there right now, maybe they don't even want to be in the car business. But guess what? You got to get great at something first. I got great in the car business. If you can dominate in the car business, if you can become a master in the automotive industry, you can go wherever you want to go in your life, because it's the most difficult and demanding business, but it's also the business that has the smallest room for error. So you have to know what you're doing, because look, people are making a decision two different ways. They make a decision with emotion and they justify it with logic. If you're getting stuck in the greeting, if you're getting stuck in the fact find, if you can't get somebody to look at the car, you can't get somebody to let you bring the car to your house, you're not writing everybody up, and you don't know what to say and how to overcome the objections to close, that's why you're struggling. That's why you don't like your job. That's why you're getting minis, and that's why you need to get hooked up on this today. So 10xphonesales.com, August 15th. If you can't watch it on August 15th, it'll be recorded, so you'll have that, and you have the opportunity to get this. Now, we have a limited amount of these available, and obviously we can only accommodate a certain amount of people on these 6 coaching calls. So it's going to be a limited group. We want to make sure we give them everything they need, all the guidance that they need. But I promise you, this will help you get where you need to be. There's a lot of garbage out there right now on the internet. People are buying all kinds of stuff, the magic pill, the magic bullet. Let me tell you one thing. None of this is easy. I'm going to be the first one to tell you, you got to train, you got to practice every single day to get great. There's people out there right now that are maybe watching this. Maybe you lost your job. Maybe you're in the car business. You're trying to figure out, do I want to go back to another dealer? Do I want to transition? At the end of the day, you got to know how to be marketable. So there's one other tidbit I'm going to throw out there for you as well. For those that go through this class for 6 weeks, and you do all the lessons, you do the coursework, you're going to be Grant Cardone Sales Academy certified, and your resume is going to be put on 10xjobs.com, which is a brand new site that we're unveiling here in the next month. So imagine this, we're known as the top training organization in the planet. Can you imagine the impact? You go through this system, you get Grant Cardone certified, you have your resume on our site, and a company knows that you're certified by us. I can promise you, you're going to get way farther ahead than if you went on Indeed, you went on LinkedIn, you think you're going to put in a resume and somebody's going to call you. This is an amazing opportunity. So I just wanted everybody to know about it. You know, I'm very passionate about this. It worked for me, helped me get to levels that I never thought I would get to in my life. And I got a whole group and a whole army of people here that can back that up as well. And we're here invested in your success. So I just wanted to share that with you and your tribe today, Herb.
Dude, thank you so much, man. I really, really appreciate it. Dude, for anybody that's been following the podcast for a minute, you guys know, because I've said this over and over on my sessions, I do not believe in shortcuts. They do not exist. The closest thing to a shortcut is to learn from people that have done it successfully and mimic that. So to take this opportunity to join this webinar for $49 and then the opportunity to get the whole strategy for under $2,000 is insane in my opinion. I mean, it's just going to be, dude, this is amazing. I can't even believe that you guys are putting this together. This is awesome. So let me ask you one last question here before. Opportunity is great, but you touched on something that was really, really important. And you said it's not easy. You got to put in the work. In your opinion, why is the number one thing that training doesn't work? Is it because we're not doing the repetition, we're not putting in the effort? How can the people that take advantage of this opportunity, that join the webinar, that purchase the program, how can they get the most out of it now when they need it more than ever?
Yeah. Well, number one reason that training doesn't work is because the mindset wrapped around it is broken, meaning that if I watch one video segment of Cardone on demand, oh, watched it, I'm good, and move on. Maybe one day I'm watching greeting, then I'm watching overcoming objections, then I'm watching closing, then I'm watching fact finding. You're watching a lot of stuff, but you're not becoming great at any of it. So to become a master and to become great, you start off with greeting, because I think you would agree in a conversation, if you can't get past hello, everything else is irrelevant. Oh, you can say, oh, I want to be a great closer. Well, that's awesome, man. Why don't you get somebody to want to be in a sales engagement with you? And you can't start off closing somebody. You got to start off by getting them into the process, creating the rapport, finding out the needs, actually working through the sales process. So what we're going to do on this is we're going to guide this tribe through this, and we're going to work with them hand on hand, because you're going to be able to ask me questions. You're going to be able to ask my team questions. We're going to go through this. We're going to role play it. Learning is really accelerated to the next level when you put it into practical use. So for example, like if you and I start studying greeting, you and I are going through it, we're going to be pounding through this like for a whole week over and over and over and over and over again, and then handling those objections, overcoming the objections. You need to find an accountability partner, somebody that's on the same level as you, that wants to go to the same place in life, and you need a mastermind and do it. There's one of the greatest books of all time, one of my favorite books. I think I've read this book probably 50 times, Think and Grow Rich. What was the premise of that book? The power of the mastermind. No one has ever done anything great by themselves. So if you get into the audience in the environment of winners, you will be a winner. But many times today, you go into a dealership, everybody's crapped out, everybody's crying the blues, everybody's complaining, but nobody's trying to rally the troops. And I'm not hating on the automotive industry, but I am saying mid-level management in the automotive industry sucks. They don't know how to lead their people. They don't coach their people. They don't inspire their people. So if you don't do that, what do you expect that you're going to get? Because people aren't intrinsically motivated to know how to do it on their own. So this is a vehicle for them to be able to do it. Also, I'm a big believer, like you got to have a coach. I got like 3 or 4 coaches, man. I'm paying people, right, to get great. Why? Because I know to get where I am to where I want to be, I got to have people in multiple areas in my life. You got to have somebody that's going to coach you in your career. You got to have somebody that's going to coach you on your health. You have to have a spiritual coach. You got to have many different coaches in your life to make sure you're balanced across the board, because you know, you could be making all the money in the world. If your family life sucks and your health sucks and everything else, everything's got to tie in together. So it's about setting those goals and targets, setting the expectations, having a burning desire as why you're going to do this. Because look, you're not just going to pick this up and say, shit, I bought this. Man, everything's going to be great. You're going to say, I want something better in my life. I'm tired. You get to the point, change happens when people are against the wall, unfortunately. But some people, if they hear a thought that makes sense to them and they're willing to commit, and what you have to do to get from where you are to where you want to be is you got to take the first step. The first step is hitting the damn button on 10xphones.com for $49 and getting some knowledge, listening to it, understanding it, and then be willing to commit to the journey. Success is a journey. Like you can't think, okay, I'm a great car salesman. I sell 20 cars a month. Okay, that's great, but it's all relative. There's somebody out there probably selling 60 cars a month, right? If you're selling 20, you want to sell 40, you want to sell 60, you want to sell 80. Maybe you want to own a dealership. Maybe you want to have your own business, but it's like you got to consistently train and get to the point where you're so good that nobody can deny you. And that the problem in life is people will look at you and be like, oh, this guy's a freak of nature. They don't realize all the blood, the sweat, and the tears, and the training, and the failing, and getting up, and everything else that took you to get to the point where you are today. And people ask me all the time, like, man, how do you like talk about this, so fluid, like it just flies off your lips? Because I've been training my whole life. And I didn't start off this way, man. I had no idea what I was doing, man. I'm still an introvert today. But it's like I trained myself to learn the things that I was uncomfortable with, because you got to become comfortable being uncomfortable But I tell you one thing, it's better to be uncomfortable with money in the bank to be uncomfortable with, or be comfortable and be, living paycheck to paycheck. So one last thing I want to share. There's over 50 million people in the unemployment market. So here's the rub. Unemployment's going to be running out pretty soon. Everybody's going to be blowing out into the job market. It's going to be saturated. So for you to get employed, for you to have an opportunity, you better have your game tight. You better have your skill set ready to go. And that means phone, virtual, social media, messaging, communication, being well-spoken. There's a gray-headed guy. A lot of people know him, Warren Buffett. I don't even think the guy went to high school. He went to one thing. He has one certificate on his wall in his office. That certificate is when he went to a communication class. So look, if that doesn't tell you enough, I don't know what else to tell you, man. You got Grant Cardone, mogul, $150 million business, $1.8 billion in real estate assets. I have no idea how much Warren Buffett's worth. I gotta look here just so we know, because I can't finish the call without knowing. What's the guy's net worth? Warren Buffett net worth. Only $67.8 billion.
Yeah.
You tell me. $49 to start to get the knowledge, to get on the road. Because look, man, you come $49, you spend 2 hours, and you say, look, man, I don't want to put that much work in. I want to keep living. That's your problem, not mine. But what I'm saying is I'm giving you the answers to get where you want to go. But I promise you, your life is going to look different 6 months, a year down the road once you commit to greatness. And again, I hope I can just touch one person on this call to say, you know what, I want something better for my life. And look, man, I'll help anybody. So my email's jeff@grantcardone.com. Anybody have any questions, you need help, hit me up, I'll help you. But I can only help you so much. You got to help yourself.
Yeah, man, for sure. Dude, thanks so much for coming on. Thanks for sharing this information here with us on the podcast. And go to the description in the video. We're going to put all the links and everything in there where you can get more information, where you can connect with Jeff. All that stuff is going to be there. And if you're checking this out on the audio version, then go to the show notes and all that information is going to be there as well. Dude, thank you so much. I really appreciate you doing this. Everybody out there listening, you got to jump on this deal. It's $49. Get on it. Thanks a lot, dude. Appreciate it.
Brother. Thanks, guys.
All right, man.